Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It's Shelby here with Tyler, and we're live. It's been months, I feel like, since we've done a live, Tyler, hasn't it? Since soccer season. We've just been
Yes.
vibing. We haven't had the time to do one. Honestly, it's because we don't have the time now to not do one, is why we're back doing them so you can hang out. We had softball today kicking off opening night. And so we couldn't record our normal Thursday show because we had to wait to see what happened in the softball game. So we're going to talk about their win over Marshall. Of course, we have an exciting play of the day highlight from that. Go through the box score. We're going to go through basketball on both sides of it. The Lady Raiders still have some roller coaster games that's going on there. We'll talk all about it. Drop your questions in the comments for that. If you have men's basketball, they might be the hottest team in the country right now, Tyler. I don't know what's happening. I'm not questioning it. I'm just enjoying it. And they have a late night showdown. A very late night for me. I think it's like 11:30 Eastern on Saturday night against Arizona at Arizona. That'll be fun. And then of course track is doing the damn thing. Tennis is off doing their thing, winning matches. And golf got underway as well. So a lot happening in Texas Tech sports. We're gonna run through all of it, but we're gonna get started with softball because it's that time of year. So, Tyler, what'd you think of what you could see? Game changer was a little bit annoying, but we got to see bits and pieces of the game that just happened, and the 2-0 win for Texas Tech softball in their opening game of the season. Just a few hours ago, couple hours ago, finished up.
Yeah, it was a great game. Great opening day. I woke up this morning and I was just hyped because, we have a top 10 team in the country. We have Nija Kennedy. How can you not wake up every morning feeling motivated, right? But today was a great game. It wasn't necessarily the most flashy offensive game that maybe some people were expecting, but we still prevailed through. Nija Kennedy had 7 strikeouts in this game, and then Maya Davis also led the charge with us scoring. And then um, who else scored? It's been a long.
I
It
had to
was
pull up the box score. I know you say
Alana Johnson,
Alana
right?
Johnson got had a run, and
Yes,
she went two for
yes,
two. She was probably our best hitter. They gave her the nickname 5 for 5 Johnson. She wasn't 5 for 5, but she was perfect at the plate. She was 2 for 2 with a walk. So
yes.
she definitely was the one. I guess I wouldn't say seeing the ball the best. I guess you would probably say that. But we had some others making some good contact. Sometimes it's just going right at people. But yeah, good stuff overall. Offense is going to have to figure it out as they go. But it was a nice change of pace to have a team that played that good of defense. I mean, there was great defensive plays. We're going to show you a really good one from Maya Davis, and everybody was really smooth out there. No errors, I don't think, unless I missed one, which was nice. And Nija and Sam Lincoln was great in the start, and Chloe did the damn thing in the circle. Like, I mean, we were really dominant. You don't, I mean, really, there was not really many threatening moments outside the first inning, really, for Marshall. And we had a couple of times where we had the bases loaded and could have really blown it open. So we were just about a big hit here or there away from that really being blown up and open. So hopefully they figure that out as they go. But it was overall a nice start to the season. You'll take that, and they got some big games coming up.
For sure. I also think that, there were several times where we almost had a homer. They just, went on the right hand side of the foul pole line
Couple of
instead
foul.
of the left, really close. So, yeah, no, I think it's there. I think that the hitting is going to be there as we progress on, just getting those first game nerves out. But shout out to Marshall's pitcher. I think that she did come to play and she did give us a little bit of a harder time than what we thought. But I'm glad that we also defensively looked really, really great, and that's why we're number 10 in the country. And Nija was able in the middle of the game to kind of get things sealed for us, and then Chloe finished it off excellently. And Sam Lincoln also looked great tonight,
Yeah.
opening up,
Yeah, I mean, I'll read
only
off those
allowing one
lines.
hit.
Pitching, overall, we only allowed one hit the whole game. I think it was the first batter of the game, maybe. Might have been the first or second batter of the game. For a freshman making their first career start in the circle, like that's tough, and we've heard a lot of good stuff about her. I thought she was really solid. She handled that well. Got her first strikeout in that inning. She went 2 innings, 1 hit allowed, 0 walks, and 1 strikeout. That, I mean, you'll take that from a freshman that has a lot of pressure on her shoulders, getting the opening day start right there. So she was good, and then obviously Nija came in, and it was good to see her do what she does. I mean, she didn't allow a hit. Again, 0 walks. I love that number. And 7 strikeouts. She did hit a couple of batters. I think maybe Sam hit a couple of batters too. So we did allow some people on base with some hit batters, but that's just like opening day jitters, you know. And then Nyjah is just really powerful. Sometimes, you know, it's gonna slip out of there, but gotta keep them a little scared of you, you know. It works. Get them a little intimidated. No, she's not doing it on purpose, but it happens. So it was just fun to see her. I can't wait to actually see her like in person when they get to Lubbock, and then also on a broadcast maybe on Saturday with Nebraska on MLB Network. That's a little bit better. So you can see all three of these pitchers and actually see them, because it was kind of hard with the broadcast that we saw, but it was what it was. And then Chloe came in and handled business. She closed out that game. 0 hits, 0 walks, 1 strikeout. I really like the walk column personally. That was a struggle for us last year. We walked a lot of people and we were just giving up free bases all the time. And so to go first game of the season, not a single walk, and one of those was a freshman. I thought that was probably my favorite part about the pitching, besides just like getting to see him go to work and Nyjah being Nyjah, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Pitching looked great. And then I also think that it was also great to see our returners tonight. Reagan looked really good. Logan is still a speedster. That has not changed. She had a few great plays tonight at bat. So definitely it's good to see us in full action. And of course, the competition's going to be ramping up this weekend.
Yeah. Logan, I don't. Softball's interesting the way the lineups work. They can be like really creative. Like she was in the the starting lineup, but then like she came out at some point, and so we didn't actually see her hit until that final inning. And promptly Logan went out there and put down a perfect bunt. Glasgow said she's one of the best bunters he's ever seen. Like it was a nice little slap, like just placed it perfectly, and they didn't have a chance. Like it was over, and then she stole second, got to third, I think, on a wild throw to second, and had a chance to score, and we just couldn't get her around. So yeah, there was good stuff. We'll be playing small ball. It's fun. It's fun to have that speed about us. It was fun to be able to manufacture a couple of runs when we weren't able to get the big hits, and still get a win on a night where you weren't hitting bombs. Or I don't think we had a single extra base hit. I don't know how long it's been at Texas Tech. I mean, maybe it happened last year against some lesser competition. I don't know, but I don't know how long it's been since we didn't get an extra base hit and won a game. You know what I mean? So that was cool to see. They're gonna have to figure that out, and the competition's gonna get better. But it's so early in the season, and it takes time to get your timing together. And then there was a player and we didn't get to see Katie Lawton this, but I did hear the hope is maybe tomorrow at some point. She's just dealing with a little minor or something, but she's obviously a big bat that will get into the lineup. But I think everybody else played in this that we expect. We didn't get to see Michaela Garcia hit, but I think she was out there in left field at some point. If Game Changer was accurate, again, couldn't tell you based on the video, as Roger says in here. Yeah. So the overall, I think everybody got in. I might be missing somebody. I thought Haley Tony had some good at bats. The freshman, like, she was very close at the end of that game of blowing that thing open. Like, she was like fouling those balls straight back, and that means kind of you're like right on it. She was just a little bit under it, and then she got a holder one, and it just went right at somebody. So I think she's right. She was real close to breaking that open a couple times. But yeah, leaders and at the plate were definitely Alana Johnson, 2 for 2, 1 walk. An RBI and a stolen base. Maya Davis started off the game with a walk and a stolen base, came around to score, and then Logan Holloman got on base. Like I said, stolen base, got around. So, yeah, that was kind of overall the stats from it. Good stuff. And we have, as Roger says in here, it didn't take Maya Davis long to add to her extensive highlight reel. That is accurate. We've warned you about Maya Davis. I told you last week in the highlight reel, you better be sitting down because she made one of the best catches you'll ever see in college, and you're going to see that for Texas Tech. Literally, first game of the year, she makes this highlight reel catch. So let's just show it to you. Let me get this in here. Do 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 do. That was great. Let's let you Nothing to it. Those poor Marshall fans in the background. You see the Marshall fan in the background just like,
Yes.
They were
They're
like
like,
getting ready to
what?
celebrate. Like she stole a home run. Like that was going over the fence the way the trajectory is going for, and she took it. So that was a big moment in the game. Like who knows what would have happened? We probably still would have won, but that was hype. You know, they got a hold of it. Good credit to the batter, and Maya did what she does. And over on Twitter, Nigel Kennedy had love for Maya. She retweeted that post of the video a bit ago after the game and said, "Love you, Maya." Like, gotta love your outfielder. So she's gonna save her pitchers from some hits all season, and that's what's cool. Is like this team is built on defense and pitching, and you have a great hitting coach in Coach Glasgow, and you have Kaylee Kowalik, who came over, is working with the Slappers and has a great background as a player, and now is first stint as a coach. They're gonna figure out how to get enough runs across with this team, and we're gonna get to see that come together. But it's really cool to have a team that is kind of based on pitching and defense, and we saw that. But who do they have coming up, Tyler? Do you have the schedule up here in front of
Yes.
the
So
charts?
tomorrow we are taking on number 25 Mississippi State at 4 o'clock p.m. So it'll be our first top 25 matchup of the season. Mississippi State is a solid program. They usually get their own regional. One year, I think they even made their super regional. So it's definitely going to be a huge game for us. And I think that's really where we're going to kind of gauge like where this team is at near the beginning of the season. Obviously, there's still so much softball to be played, but it's our first real test. And then after that, my favorite game is going to be against Penn State at 7 tomorrow because for those of y'all that don't know, Penn State pretty much took
Tyler
our
is
spot.
petty. He's about it.
Yes. Yes, I'm pressed because Penn State took our spot in the A&M regional last year. I had all these plans like, oh, I'm going to go watch Tech play A&M and all these things in the NCAA tournament. And then what happened? Penn State stole our spot and Penn State choked. So I just hope that we absolutely stomp on the Nittany Lions because, like that was ridiculous. The committee should
Yeah.
knew better than that. So yeah, let's just
I
prove to them
hope
that.
I hope if Reagan or Logan or Demi get into that game, I hope they just go crazy. A little revenge for their comrades from
Yes.
last year. Yeah. Tyler's like worked up about that. I didn't even make that connection. I wasn't even thinking about it, and Tyler brought it up. I was like, that's right. That's right. Not that it's their fault. It was the committee's fault, to be clear, but if we need to get revenge on somebody, I guess it can be Penn State. So, yeah, that's tomorrow. That's the late game versus that top 25 game with Mississippi State. I'm not going to sit here in front like I know much about either of them. It's this early in the season. I haven't watched any of them play,
Right.
so we'll see. I believe both are on the Game Changer app. This
Love that app.
video,
So great.
it's better than nothing, which is what you get
Right.
sometimes in softball. But I would like these tournaments to have a little bit higher standards moving forward. Let's pretend like we give a shit and have a little higher standards. Like there's no way you couldn't find some college kids that would have called that game. I went on this rant last year. People that know Seeing Scarlet and watch it. I went on this rant last year about the same time because it was in the non-con when we were playing teams that didn't even stream our games at all. I used to work in baseball, right? Obviously, bananas. I used to work in baseball, and I had teams. One of my jobs was getting our teams to stream games, and I had teams streaming off of their frickin' cell phones at higher quality than what we saw. 3 angles, people calling it. Like, it's not that hard. So I know it's not difficult, and I know it's not even that expensive. It's a lack of give a damn is all it is. And so it pisses me off when these tournaments don't have a standard where they care enough about the product of these teams. Like, this is the number 1 player in the country we have. And this Jordy Ball's in here too. Like, there's great, Tennessee Pickering. We have these great players. The 3 best pitchers in the country, arguably, are in this little tournament, and they're playing on Game Changer for like 90% of their games. And I don't even care if it's on Game Changer, as long as Game Changer stepped up their quality. Like, what are we doing? Like, we have people listen to a robotic play-by-play. Anyway, sorry, that's my yearly rant. I will not rant about it again, I promise. But like, let's give a damn a little bit more as a tournament. And like, I don't know how you get them to have higher standards, but it's ridiculous that it's great that MLB is picking them up on Saturday, but if every game can't be on network TV, like let's care a little bit more, like we're not going to be able to grow the game if people can't watch it. So rant over.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, there was also a while where the scoreboard said, like on their little scoreboard, it said Texas State. We are not the Bobcats. We're far from that. So
What?
I know. Wait,
This is
Wait,
just
so
offensive.
yeah, I took offense to that. But anyway, yeah, no, definitely they could step up their game, but at least something is better than nothing. But
Yes,
yeah,
something is better than nothing.
but we
So,
won't have to worry about that on Saturday for at least one game because at 3 o'clock p.m. the matchup of the year for now, Nija
I
versus
hope
Jordy
not, but yeah.
Ball. 3
I hope
o'clock
you're right.
p.m. on MLB Network. Nebraska is ranked number 16. They just took down a top five, I think, Tennessee squad
It's a
tonight.
great game.
Jordy Ball hit off of Pickens, right? Pickens, is
Hmm.
that her last name? Yeah,
Something like
Jordy
that,
Ball
yes.
hit off of her. So definitely, Nebraska's hot. They're coming in hot. They came off of a big win. So hopefully on Saturday, after we come off of our big win against Mississippi State, this should be like some really great softball being played, and you can catch it on MLB Network. And then we play Iowa later that night at 6 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. And then we'll play Kennesaw State at noon on Sunday. But I think it's funny that we play three Big Ten teams because I think Duke
Big Ten champs.
swapped, yeah, swapped out there
I heard
with
that was
us.
a network decision.
Oh, okay, network
My,
decision.
my guess
Well,
is so Duke could get a chance to be on MLB Network too, which is fair. Again, growing the game.
yes,
All these teams should have a chance. Like the
right.
top 10 team, they should absolutely have a chance to be on there. So if that was the reasoning, I get it. It's a bummer we don't get to play them, but I get it. So
Yeah, no, for sure. But as you said, yes, Big Ten champs because these three are probably going to be in the running for the Big Ten title. Well, UCLA is now in there, but in the old Big Ten, they would have won it. So if we sweep,
yeah, the Big Ten's
we're
better
the old
now,
Big Ten
but
championship.
they got
So
Oregon and yeah. So but yeah, they have Washington. So all the Pac-12 teams joined, and they actually made them a legitimate conference. I shouldn't be talking shit. We're about to play them, so we got to beat them. We're gonna have to have a little bit more timely hitting, but I think shake off the nerves. We were taking good hacks, just a couple of I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and nitpick, but just like not swinging on strike threes and stuff like that. I think is stuff that's just like nerves. So, but they know what they're doing, so I'm excited to see them do
yes,
it
and then in other
tomorrow
big
in a couple
news,
days.
And then in other big news as well, we also have found out that we're going to have three nationally televised games later this season. It's like in
I'm
April
surprised it's not
against
more, but
Arizona
yes.
twice and BYU. They're all away on the road. So hopefully maybe we can get something figured out at home for Oklahoma State. But if not, that's okay. They'll be on ESPN Plus. But yeah, just you'll get more opportunities to see on national TV and on cable Nija Kennedy pitching. So just some exciting things for this Tech softball squad.
Yeah, I'm really surprised the Oklahoma State game is not. So maybe that's still being negotiated or something.
I
Um,
hope.
I don't know what else is going
Otherwise,
on
I'll
that
take off some
weekend.
sort of game on men's
Um,
basketball or women's basketball. It's like two nobody teams. I'm like, take that
Yeah,
off
it's
and
got
put
like even like
softball on.
ESPNU or something. But I don't know. This is where I don't know if Texas Tech as a I don't know if we have the broadcast quality where we could just send them the stream on our own and it would fit ESPN standards. So they would probably have to send a truck and do their own production, and that honestly might be what's holding it back. So Texas Tech admin, I'm just saying if that is at all the reason we're not having a dominant potential top 5 showdown, who knows, top 10 showdown by that point in the year on TV, let's be better in the future. Steps in the right direction though. We're putting seats, but that's the next step. If that is for all at all the reason, I don't know the reason, but it just seems odd to me that ESPN wouldn't want that game. And if it's like, hey, we just don't have the money to send a truck and do the whole production ourselves, but if you could send us a stream that's up to our quality, we'll put it on there, which is what happens sometimes. If that's what's holding back, I don't know. But anyway, maybe it's negotiation. We're going to the highest bidder. Fox and ESPN are fighting over it. We'll find out. But that's later in the year. So good stuff. Softball. Only one game to talk about. Next week when we see us, we'll have like 5 games to discuss and all the things, but it's fun to get one under our belt moving forward. Baseball starts up next week as well. I think they're up here, and I'm not gonna be here. I'm so mad. They're coming up here and they're playing North Carolina, and I'm not gonna be here because I'm going on vacation for a week when Texas Tech is in town. But we'll talk about baseball in a couple weeks when they get underway as well. But they have a really tough non-con as well. So Tadlock and Glasgow both filled up the non-con with some competitors. So it could be a fun spring for both of our stickball teams, as they say.
Yes, super exciting. Like I said, if you don't wake up every morning like, hey, your team
No.
could be contending for a women's College World
It's
Series
wild.
national title this year, like Just wake up. Like, if you're feeling down, just remember, we have Nija Kennedy. We are a
Yeah.
top 10 team. Like,
We have
you
Maya
know,
Davis out there breaking the fence and making a catch. They
we
gotta
have Alana
stop the
Johnson, two
game
for
so they can
two.
fix the fence. Hold up, we got a timeout. Maya Davis is being Maya Davis. Gotta fix the field because she broke it. Like, absurd. Anyway,
Great
so
stuff.
I'm excited to see them go to work tomorrow against some power conference teams. It'll be fun, even if it is on Game Changer. We'll be here vibing along the way. So go softball. Next on the list, we got basketball. Tyler, the old gals, the Lady Raiders, another 0-2 week. Colorado lost on the road. That was a really tough one, hard to watch, 67-51. And then Utah last night was a good game, and it had every chance to win it, just couldn't close it out. Do you have any overall thoughts, or do you want to go game by game? What do you want to do, Tyler? You can lead the ship here.
Yeah. I just have a few overall thoughts. I think that we talk about margin of error being really slim, and I just think that right now the product that we're getting out there has been a little bit or has been disappointing. I definitely think that there can be changes that can be made that can make us be successful, and I think you saw that in Utah last night. We just need to be able to close out games, and then games like Colorado, you had your moments. Like in the third quarter, got really close, but then you just fell apart. And I don't know what it is, but at least for now, I still am going to believe in these athletes. I'm still going to believe in the coaches. I mean, yes, maybe the ceiling of going to the big dance now falls within winning the whole Big 12 tournament, but there is other postseason opportunities that could be awaiting you to at least get us in the right direction. And I'm not saying that those opportunities need to be or should be your like the standard. It's obviously not the standard. However, I think we're at the point now where you do need to make what feels like kind of nothing into something, right? We're 3-9. We have 6 games left. I'm still waiting on that signature win. So TCU or Baylor, pick one, pick both. Please get a signature
Okay.
win. We need to do something, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like there's still opportunities, and I think that these players still need to keep fighting and sticking through it. But I saw a lot of improvement last night, Utah, but we just couldn't close out the game, and it was just frustrating. But that's kind of my overall thoughts with what I saw.
Yeah, I I feel that. I'm with you on that. I can get behind that. Yeah. Um, Colorado was just not good to me. It was really hard to watch. I didn't understand a lot what was going on in that game. Maybe it was the altitude. The game plan didn't make sense to me though. Offensively, I don't know if it was the game plan or execution. And then there was some just unfortunate moments from leaders on that team late in that game that concerned me like watching it, and I'm like, just a turnover, and then you don't even try after the turnover, and just small things like that were disappointing, I think, in that game. That I expect more. There's a handful of players on this team that I don't know them at all, and I could be wrong, but I expect a little bit more from them, and so when I see that kind of stuff from them, I'm like, damn, it's getting to you. But they bounced back last night, and all that was kind of back on track. So I respect them for that. I don't like to talk about last year, but I don't think last year's team handled the adversity very well and the downturn of that season very well. And at minimum, I just want this team to handle it better and have a little bit more respect for themselves and as individuals and as a team and as a university to go out fighting like what we saw last night. Because you're right, they can still go on a run. The schedule sets up well to end the year, and it's all true. And then they can do some things, whether it's in probably the WBIT is what their realistic chances are now. Never say never. Let them cook. I've seen crazier things, but yeah, they just got to kind of keep plugging away. But Colorado, I didn't think really anyone played great in that game, if I'm being honest. Everybody had moments, but it wasn't great outside of Kyla. Kyla was just pretty steady, and she was in her home state, and she showed out. I think she had a lot of fans there, so Kyla's effort's just been pretty consistently steady, and that's kind of what she did in that game. I think she almost had a double-double, so kudos to Kyla. She brought it, and some other people brought it in spurts, but if I'm missing someone, give them a shout-out. That game was
Oh yeah,
tough on to watch, so.
Jazzy came off the bench and she had 16 points, and she also had 4 rebounds. And then, as you said, yeah, Kyla had 9 points and 8 rebounds. She did really good. I will say, shout out to Kyla in that game. I rewatched it, and she she was fighting. She really was
She was.
fighting. She was trying to get them back in the game. I think Adley also had that demeanor about her. She had 6 points
She
in
had a
that game
spurt
as
in there.
well,
Yeah, I
two
remember
three
that.
pointers. So definitely liked what I saw from them. I thought that some things were there, and then yeah, I think from our leaders, it was just tended to be a struggle. Sarah ended up having 0 points, so things like that. You
Yeah.
just gotta wish that you
Yeah,
capitalized.
again, I don't know if it was the altitude. I don't know how much that affects you or not. So, but we just didn't look. I don't know. At time we fought back and we get close, and then we just make some boneheaded mistakes, and then it got away from us, and the frustration was kind of bullying over, and then it was just rough because Colorado didn't have their leading scorer. They were missing people. Like there was no excuse to lose that game. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and we lost it pretty handedly. So that was frustrating. And so I was a little concerned going into Utah. I knew there was a handful that they're going to respond because it's what they do, but I didn't know as a team how it was going to go last night. And that was probably our most complete game we've played this year against a good team. Outside of 5 minutes to start the second half, you were in a lot of ways the better team. I could argue, marginally, just a little bit. Probably like I would say like +2 or 3, like not just like throwing out random numbers here in run of play type basketball, where Utah won that was situational basketball. Is that 5 minute stretch? If we played better there, we wouldn't have been behind. We wouldn't have been able to fight back. Like I think we were up 2 at halftime, right? And then at
Yes.
some point, about 5 minutes through the third quarter, they were up 8. So there was a 10. They were +10 on us in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, and we just had some look like what we had looked like in some games where we just like forget how to basketball for a minute, and you're like, oh no, Utah made halftime adjustments, and we for whatever reason kind of lost ourselves. But then we flipped a switch and we were right back where we were. So it's very mental for this team. It's very mental for this team when they lock in, and I can tell when certain players are locked in. And I'm not gonna go on a sports psychology rant. Y'all know I have a background in that, but I can tell just watching them. Like early in this game, I could tell Danae Fritz had that look about her. I was like, okay, she's locked in. I don't know what she did before this game, but we need that. Like she was in the zone. You can tell. Like even just like silly things, like she was like dribbling it between her legs for no reason, like on a cross. Like there was no one near. Like just small things you could see like that. Bailey's the same way. I could tell Jazz had that look about her early. So we were just in a better headspace. It seemed like for the most part. We seemed more confident in the game plan. We were executing it. Obviously, we're shooting better. That helps. Going 4 for 6 in the first quarter definitely gets you off to a good start, but we were getting good looks. And so we've talked about this before, we have pretty good shooters when they're getting good looks and they're inside out basketball and all the things, and we were doing a better job of getting it. We were running those sets that we talked about, I feel like 2 weeks ago, that I thought we were on the right track. I mean, Danae got 2 threes off that same play that we saw at BYU. We saw it against Iowa State, and we did that whole episode talking like, we really like this motion. It's new. I like this set. And then we just didn't see it for 3 games. And I'm like, well, where did that go? But it was back in this game. She got 2 threes off of it. That 3-man game with the post, and then Bailey or whoever's with her over there screens for her, and it's really simple, but teams don't guard it. I'm sure they're gonna start scouting it. Utah did guard it well late in this game. I think we tried to do it on one of those later possessions, and they stopped it. But for the most part, it works. I just saw more of that team we saw a couple of weeks ago again, and I think that's where I'm at. Is I'm very confused about this team's identity on the offensive end. And I've talked about that before. I think this team has found an identity defensively, and I think you're seeing that. We really are one of the best defensive teams in the conference, and we're holding everybody, it feels like, to under their averages. Grace Nipkins, who say her last name, is one of the most efficient scorers in the country, and we did a really good job on her last night. We really had her flustered. Some other people, McQueen stepped up and other people, but we played really good. We played good enough to beat them defensively. Absolutely, we were right there in that game, and we had a pretty good identity on offense last night. But I don't know that is that who we're going to see on Saturday. I don't have confidence in that. I have confidence that I'm going to see that defense on Saturday because I feel like we have confidence in that. But on the offensive end, like I have this clip. This is because I talked about this with some people the other day, and I was trying to explain it, and so I just made a clip. And I want to be clear that I didn't go and like cherry pick clips from each game. I literally wanted to be fair, and so I literally took the first the first possession of each of our last 2 games and clipped them both. And I just want you to see the difference between what we're doing offensively in both. And I just don't understand why our offensive scheme changes so much game to game. I'm probably ignorant and I'm missing something, but I feel like it's hard for our players to find consistency and confidence in the scheme when we seem to like try to change it based on who we're playing. And I just don't think that, like, we need an identity is all I'm saying. So just look at this and just tell me if you think I'm crazy, Tyler, and you think that there's similarities, but I just don't see a lot of similarities between these 2 sets. Again, first play of Colorado and first play of Utah.
Who is going to make up for that? I think with Colorado, it's going to...
Like, what are we doing? There are 3 people in the lane. And then Bailey, I don't know what Bailey's doing. Like, I'm sure that they drew it up and it was supposed to work. What was that? Like, I don't know what that was. And then they were just screen to screen. They're just standing there. Literally, Colorado is like standing there and watching us because there's limited movement. Now we're doing the dribble handoff stuff again. And ultimately it ends up in like a shot clock violation or a rush shot here because we're down to like 3 seconds at this point on the shot clock. She's going to have to throw it up. Sarah, tough shot. Like, I just don't get it. I need them to explain what the game plan was in Colorado because I was so frustrated watching that game. And we've seen that in other games too. And then this game, this is the team that they say they want to be all of a sudden. We're back to doing like what we saw against BYU, even Iowa State to some extent, and some other games this year from the jump. Now, it starts off with defense, which helps, certainly. But watch them in transition to start.
Versus Kansas.
Great play, Bailey.
Field goals made.
Look at all of us running in a straight line. It's 4 on 2, I think.
27.
We probably should have gotten a layup out of this, but we don't. But we do eventually get a bucket, so it's fine. But these defenders don't know where we're going. This is great spacing and transition. Where has this been every game? So that's step 1 of it.
This is what Tech wants to do. They had a
This is a great look. Huh. She misses this, but I'll take this all day. All day. Secondary, where the hell has this been? Danae Fresh, you could rebound so much better than we've seen, and it might be a scheme thing. So again, take my words for what they are. But the girl can rebound. She attacks the rim, gets us an offensive rebound to start this game. It's going to lead to a bucket. Look at this spacing.
Up again.
Like,
one of the things about
what
Bailey
is,
Maupin,
why can't, I don't know why we don't do this every game, and then Jazz, there's nobody in the lane. Literally nobody in the lane. And so Jazz can drive in there, and she ends up with a layup off.
Place has been able to
it's not the greatest movement, not the greatest all the things, but like, Jazz can make that bucket, you know? Like, we're not perfect still. I'm not trying to say we're like some big brain gonna like win a award for offense either way, but this is so much different. And we've seen this against other teams, BYU. Again, even in losses like Iowa State, you saw parts of it. But then we go to the Colorado game and we do what we did there, and everyone's just standing. That was the first possession of that game. And I was like, are you kidding me when the game started? And I'm not trying to be, like, I need to probably just stop being a little bit too critical. But, like, when the game started, I was just like, what was that? What was that offensive set? Like, what were we thinking, you know? And I know that they're smart, and I know they're working hard, and I know there was a plan there. But I don't understand the logic. And furthermore, I don't know what the identity is. I left that Colorado game having no idea what our identity was on offense. So it's like, I thought we were this. I thought we had found something. That's clearly not what we want to do. It seemed like in that game we were like, we don't know how to score in half court. We were admitting that to the broadcast. We're just going to like run a lot of stuff in the lane and hope a layup comes out of it. I don't know. It was like we ran a backwards inbounds play. Like if you had flipped that and we were passing that from under the basket and that was an inbounds play, then that would have been a threatening play because we're facing the goal and we're doing all those actions and the defense is having to worry about us. Our backs are to the goal. We're running around. I don't know what happened. It just didn't work the way they thought. And there was a lot of stuff in that game like that. So where I'm at is to summarize it and move on from it because I don't want to spend too much time on it because I love this program and I want them to get where they want to get. I think that's where they got it. They have to figure out an identity on offense. Because when you have an identity, then there's a standard. You talked about standard earlier. I think it's really hard to have a standard as an individual for your players and as a team and how you recruit to it if you don't have an identity. And I feel like they want to be the team that we saw against Utah. I think that's what they want to be. But sometimes we like big brain it and we change our whole offensive scheme to go against certain teams, and I just don't think that's necessary. Like, let's be who we are and see if it works or not, and then we just get better at it. Because then there's a standard, because there's players on the bench that want to be playing, right? well, if they know to play in this offense, to play on this team, I'm going to have to be able to hit these kind of shots. I'm going to have to make these kind of drives. I'm going to have to be able to make these kind of passes. Then they can get in the gym and they can work on it. But when it's changing every week, okay, what do I need to do as a player? Am I supposed to be this kind of player? Am I supposed to be this kind of player? It's impossible to get mental confidence that way. So it's all the things. And in the same, defensively, it works as well. Like, there's players on this team I know want to be getting more minutes, but I think it's defense that's holding them off. But we have a standard on defense now. And so if you're not up to that standard, you're not going to get to play. That's because we have an identity. I don't know that we have that standard offensively yet. And so that's where it's just a little wishy-washy for me. So I know I'm just rambling, but that's kind of where I'm at, is like we just need some sort of identity offensively. If that can happen this year, great. But I'm just still very confused on who we want to be as an offensive team because it changes so often. And I get game plans have to change a little bit, but I don't think offensive schemes should change, right? For instance, Utah, they don't change their scheme for other teams. They just run. They're a well-oiled machine, and they just run it. Like, my best description of Utah last night, and when someone asked me, as I said, they're unbothered. And they're unbothered because they know what their scheme is. And they have an identity, and they live and die by it. They're unbothered on offense in the same way we're becoming unbothered on defense. And we just know who we are, and we know what we have to do, and we buy into it. They do that on offense, right? And they don't get concerned. We turned them over. They were never bothered by it, and they just kept playing. And they just trusted that they were going to figure it out. And we don't have that on offense. And I would just like to see the rest of the season. Like, I would love to get at the end of the season to be like, okay, well, at least I know who they're trying to be offensively. I think it's what we saw against Utah. But for some reason against Colorado, even Kansas to a degree, but more so against Colorado, it was something completely different. And I don't know if that's because the coaches that scout each game change all the time, but like, it shouldn't affect the offensive scheme. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to stop ranting now. Tyler, please take over. Save the people. Save the people.
No, I agree with everything that you said. When we're looking at those first two plays, I don't understand what was going on with the spacing, but it has been an issue all season, sometimes against opponents where we are not giving any space for our guards to drive or do anything, and everyone's all mumble jumbled, and then it turns into turnovers. And last night, when you take a look at Utah, you say how they're unbothered. We have probably one of the best 3-point defenses in the conference, and they still were shooting those 3-pointers. They were getting a lot of wide open looks, and Utah was able to knock them down, but we were able to respond with some of our own. But then, that's just what we do, right, on defense. But then on offense, we just weren't able to respond to that. And then the game sort of got out of hand when you talked about those first 5 minutes. And then Utah goes up by 8 because they just keep making 3-pointers, and then we claw our way back in, and then we get to the last 5 minutes of the game. And then the biggest point I want to harp on about that last 5 minutes of the game is the free throws, because the free throws, I mean, we were 9 from 17 from the line, 7 for 15 from the free throw line. Utah had struggles too, but you make 8 of those, you go 15 for 15, then in a perfect world, you win that game by 2 points. None of our prolific starting guards got to the line, which is crazy because usually at least Bailey or Jazzy gets to the line and does that. They never got to the line. So as you said, Utah was unbothered. They stuck with their game plan. They did what they did best. And then we just kind of fell apart in those last 5 minutes. I also think that there were the last 2 possessions where we had a chance to either take the lead or tie the game. I thought that those were a little bit sloppy and messy. I didn't quite understand our ball security there and turning it over, and I didn't quite understand the shot that went up, but it is what it is, and we just are going to have to find leaders that know how to close games and just can get some of these games. Because ideally, I mean, you think about it, you look at Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Utah, you're probably anywhere from 5 to 6 possessions combined of having 6 conference wins right now. That's the reality of it.
It's true.
That's the reality of it.
That's no exaggeration. That's why it's frustrating. I've said that before. Like, if they were just a terrible basketball team, I would just, like, it's not that I wouldn't care. I'd just be like, okay, cool. Like, there's no reason to get upset. They're not good enough. But they're not a good basketball team, because to be a good basketball team, you have to win these games. But they're not a terrible basketball team. They're just an average basketball team right now because they're like an average basketball team with the potential to be good, but they're not there because they're not winning the games. It's the closing moments of this game that lost it. Utah was very unbothered in the last 3 minutes of that game, and they just did their stuff. And we were very bothered in the last 3 minutes of that game. We had 2 chances. We got lucky. They missed free throws after we bumbled the first. The first one from the jump, they seemed like out of the timeout. They didn't know where there was supposed to be a couple of people. Like Bailey was having to yank some people around and get them in their spots, and that's frustrating to come out of the timeout off the jump. Maybe they ran it appropriately after that, but it just didn't work. Try to force a pass there, and man, we just need to get a shot up there, and we don't even get a shot up there, and that's frustrating. And then the second one, I could see a more clear vision of what the second one was supposed to be. It was supposed to be an elevator screen opportunity for Bailey, and Utah just covered it really well. And so then we had to go into a secondary. Okay, next option is get it to Jazz and let Jazz go make a play, and she got a good layup, and she just missed it. So the second one I didn't have as big of an issue with because at least I saw what they were trying to do. I still have no idea what the first one was supposed to be, and I was really hoping someone in the press conference would ask because I'm sure Gerlich would explain it and be like, yeah, this is what was supposed to happen, and we just didn't execute it or it got blown up, and it would make a little more sense. There's people in the Facebook comments saying this, and it was the big question for the game too. Danae Fritz, yeah, she was hot in that game. Listen, I was calling on Twitter. I was like, I really, for some reason, thought we were going to draw up the play for Fritz in that moment, so I understand the question. But it's not wild as why they would go to Bailey Maupin or Jazz Shavers either. You know what I mean? I just thought,
right.
We haven't been in these moments a lot. And so in my head, I just thought we weren't a team that really had anybody that was bigger than the hot hand is kind of what I was thinking. And we knew they'd get the attention. So yeah, I agree. I thought maybe they would draw one of those up for her, but the first play again, she might have been an option. The first play was so broken from the beginning. She was in the corner and there was some movement and then nothing happened. So there was a chance she was an option in the first play. I don't know. And then the end of game stuff, again, listen, Danae Fritz was great in this game. Big fan. I also was confused by why she got subbed out. This was a huge talking point from fans and people are messaging. And I understand the frustration. I was just as baffled. I think again, nobody asked her in the post-game press conference, so Coach Gerlich can't speak for herself on it. One, that didn't lose the game because we were down by 4. So even if Danae makes a 3, there's a chance we get a steal or something. It gives us a better chance. But it was confusing. But I think the only thing I can think is they had a play drawn up and they felt like they needed Jada in the game because Jada, y'all have seen her throw those baseball passes before. She's the person on the team that does that. And for some reason, they didn't think maybe why can't Kyla come out because she's not going to shoot a 3 and Danae could have stayed in Kyla's spot, but maybe she hasn't run that play in practice. That might have been something that those 5 people worked on, and so it's they just didn't have time to drill it. So yeah, the end of the game moment was a little weird, but I don't think that moment lost us the game by any means. I think it was the 2 possessions prior to that we just didn't execute. We had every chance to get in that game and we couldn't do it. And if you think about this season, we've won some close games late, but Washington State, Missouri State, is that what their name was?
Missouri
both
State.
a couple of teams that might be in postseason play. But we won both of those games, single possession games, by holding on with our defense and shooting free throws, making a stop defensively and shooting clutch free throws. We have yet to prove to ourselves that we can make a shot in that final minute to tie the game or take the lead in a game. And until you prove that to yourself mentally, that's what we're missing. I firmly believe if this team had beaten Oklahoma State or they'd won one of these close games, for instance, they would have that mental catalog in the back of their head to pull from, and they'd be a lot more comfortable. They'd be a lot more unbothered in the way that Utah is. Until you have that moment, you're really just operating on trust. You're operating on trust in what your coach is drawing up. You're operating on trust in the work you've put in the gym. You're operating on trust that your teammates are going to do their job and that it's going to work, because you don't have that to pull from. And so that's just kind of where they are as a program and as a team. And it's tough. You just wish they could find a way to get over the hump, and you think that they would be able to turn that corner. And they've gotten really close a couple of times this year. And that's it's great. I think the talent is obviously better this year, and so that's allowing them to get close to turning the corner. But we're just not able to do it yet. But doesn't mean they can't in the games ahead. So what do they got coming up, unless you have any other final thoughts?
Yeah, no. In general, I mean, I think these are some Lady Raiders that had some pretty good stat lines last night. You would think that since we had 4 Lady Raiders in double figures that we would have won the game.
People played great
Like,
last night. Yeah,
they did. They did.
They played really well last night. I really loved what I
Yes.
saw. It was a great game of basketball. Really enjoyed it. I want to see
Yes.
that on Saturday. Is all I'm asking.
For sure. Sarah, she had 11 points last night and 6 rebounds. Sarah was really solid. Like, this was one of her best games. And guess what? She only had one foul. Sarah, one foul. Crazy. So that's really great from her.
Yeah.
She looked great last
I
night.
need
Consistent.
to know, Sarah, you're not watching this, but if anyone that is related to the program at all happens to stumble on this video, does Sarah know that Torre girl from Utah? They're both from France, and I feel like Sarah had a little bit extra spice to her game in that game. They just seemed like she was a Mutombo to her. And I feel like there might have been a little rivalry. I don't know. She just wanted to prove that she was the best French player in the Big 12. I don't know what, but Sarah, we need that. If Sarah plays like that every game, we're a different team. It's that consistency factor, because that was the post moves. Good God, she was out there working.
She was working. Sarah looked really great. So yeah, hopefully we can see that from her. Bailey, she had 13 points. Danae, she went 4 from 5 from the 3-point line. Those were her only shot attempts of the night. So she racked in 12 points. As we said, Danae looked solid. And then another thing that I wanted to point out last night from what I saw, because I was actually like on the court, Danae's leadership last night looked really great. She was in the huddles. She was, teaching players like, hey, I think there was a time where Maya Pete kind of had a silly foul, and she's like, hey, we saw what it was there, put your hands up. But yeah, Danae she really took leadership, and that's what you love to see. You want to see that from any of our guards and leaders of this team. So I really like that from her last night. Is there anything you want to add on that?
Oh, yeah, no, I noticed that on TV too. I didn't notice it live as much, just other than like the normal stuff. But when I rewatched it this morning while working out, I noticed it, and I was like, dang, it was just more than normal. So I appreciate that. Like, she wants it. This sucks for all the players. Losing sucks. She's been a part of a lot of winning programs, and she came here trying to help us get there. And I'm sure it's frustrating that kind of their original plans probably aren't going to happen yet. They're not giving up hope, I hope, but like they're going to have to do some crazy things. But she can still help them start playing winning basketball, and you see that on her. Like, you see the frustration late in games, when they don't make a play and all the things. She's trying for sure. So big respect for her getting there. I think you even said you messaged and said she was the first one on the court before the game. Her and Adley,
she was.
Like, that.
Her and Adley both.
That says a lot. And then she goes out there and shoots lights out. So yeah, I'm happy that she's on the team, to be honest. And it's fun. It's been fun to watch her kind of get her confidence back. We're still far from seeing the best Danae Fritz that we can see, but
right.
Last night was really pretty solid all around. So
she's never missed a postseason. So if we can get a WBIT or some sort of postseason run,
Danae Fritz about
she
to
can
go
keep
crazy.
MVP. Streak up. Drops 30.
I'm telling you right now, if she had made that step back 3 in the first half, she had made 2 threes in a row, and then she took that step back on that girl, and it went in and out. I texted someone, I was like, if Danae had made that, she was about to drop 30 on these fools. Like, she was so locked in. Like, I don't know what she did headspace-wise to get her in that mode, but when Danae Fritz is playing instinctual basketball, I've said this before, when she's playing instinctual basketball, she's a hooper. And it's just a matter of her getting into that headspace more often. A lot of players on this team are that way. But yeah, that was a really good game. Really would have loved to see her get a 3 late in that game, but is what it is. Doesn't happen. So moving on.
Yes. And then Jazzy, she had 15 points. And then Maya, she had 5 points, but she had really solid minutes. She had 11 minutes, and they were all pretty solid. Yes, her intensity. She had she got fouled, and she made the basket on an and-one play, and she was like punching the air and roaring. I have never seen Maya have that intensity. And then even on the bench, she was like going crazy. So something turned in her. Love to see it. She was a beast. Like, she had that intensity about her. You love to see it.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out, and this is not on her necessarily. We're trying to figure out how to have the same defensive scheme when she's out there, just because people try to pull her out of the lane and then take advantage of her in that way. And if we could ever figure that out, if she plays like she did offensively in this game, the intensity she played with, she can't be a weapon. But they're still trying to find that balance. But on an individual basis, I appreciate what Maya Pete put out there. Like, we need that intensity every game from her if she's going to get minutes for sure. But the coaches got to be smart about how they're scheming around it as well. So, but I didn't have, like, from an individual standpoint from Maya Pete, like, she gave everything she had in that game. So go her for sure.
Yes. So yeah, so that's pretty much, those were your main leaders. I mean, Utah, some other players had some good moments too, like Logan, I think really stepped up defensively at the end of the game. I really liked her defense on that.
I don't think this was about Logan, but it was a perfectly timed message because Logan
Oh.
is the flex emoji, so I just wanted to put it in there.
Love that. But yeah, no, definitely I loved her defense at the end. There was a lot of possessions I thought where it like came down to the wire and Utah just got freaking lucky shooting the shot with 2 seconds left. But Logan was a part of that. She was all over them guards. I was like, whoo, like we're gonna get a shot clock violation. So
Man,
yeah,
though,
what I saw there.
There was a couple moments where we played great defense, and I'm not gonna call out people's names because they watch the film, they know who they are, and people can watch it. But there was a player that missed 2 consecutive blockouts on a defensive possessions, and it's like, if we get that, it's a different game. It's like small stuff like that they're really close, man. They're really close, but they gotta figure it out. But yeah, Logan was a beast for sure. Did you already mention that play on defense where she just grabbed it with one hand?
No, I did not mention it yet.
I wanted us to win the game so bad so I could go back and clip it because there was 2 plays I wanted to clip from this game. But then after we lose, I can't post it because then haters in the comments would be absurd. But Logan deserved her shine for it. Like, this girl's driving down the lane, and she didn't just, steal it from her casually. She put her hand into the cookie jar, grabbed it with one arm, and just ripped it. And it just went the other way. It's one of the most absurd individual defensive moments I've ever seen. I was just stunned. I was like, usually, it ends up in a tie ball in that moment, and, just took it from her. She had a really good game. And then the other play I wanted to clip and tag the Big 12 officials in is that absurd foul that they called on, I think, was it Danae? That touch foul they called at the top, where they called a hand check foul, and the ref had a straight up seizure. It's like she blew her whistle. I swear to God, it's a veteran official. She used to call games back when we were winning national championships. And she I swear she accidentally blew her whistle and then had to come up, make up a foul because, it was Danae. She didn't even touch the girl. And she blew her whistle, and she was the ref was running, doing these weird motions, trying to convince everybody that it was a foul. And I think Danae was just and then they showed the replay, and Brandy on the broadcast was like, yeah, don't know what she was thinking on that. Fritz is not even touching her. That was an odd one. It was just a baffling call. Luckily, Logan took a charge immediately after that, so shout out Logan again. That gave us a chance to still win that game. But it was late in the game. It was a big foul when it happened. But I think Logan took a charge on that same possession that they got it back. But it's just the state of officiating just blows my mind. So those are 2 things I wanted to clip, but I couldn't. So shout out Logan for your great defense, and shout out the ref for being an absolute idiot. Kudos to you. Good job. You've had a great career, all respect, but maybe it's time to retire because what was that?
So up next, the Lady Raiders, they take on TCU. This is I think one of 2 opponents that we played twice this season. So TCU, they're ranked number 9 right now. They're number 10 in the net. They're 9-2 in conference. They actually just came off of a loss at K-State. And TCU, we've already done a preview. You can go back and watch the episode. But their main 3, Sedona Prince, Haley Van Lith, Madison Connor, they're all very, very good at basketball. They're going to be the triple threat. Sedona leads in blocks, Haley in assists, and Madison Connor with the 3-point line. I thought we did a good job handling Connor up until the end when we gave her, I think, a 4-point play or something like that. And then the other player that we need to watch out for apparently is Aaliyah Robertson, because she kind of pissed me off last game because apparently we didn't know how to play defense on her.
Texas Tech ties. Her cousin, someone in her family. Is it her sister? Roberson played for. There's a Roberson that played for Texas Tech. Anyway, continue.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
There's tons of them. There's a bunch of them that have played all over the country, so it's hard to keep up.
I think I remember seeing they were both on the same team in high school because they played against my high school. I remember seeing one of them, or both of them.
One that's
so
about to go to Duke or coming up this way.
Okay.
This one was a while back that played for Duke.
Yes.
Anyway, so she always seems to play well against us. Is all I'm saying. She has.
She had a really great game on the 3-point line. She made 3 threes, so just please stop her. It was just kind of annoying. Like we were doing great against Connor, and then we just let another player take over. And can we just
Yeah.
please, like, we have our identity now defensively. Just guys, please. And
I think
then
you have to. I mean, yeah, in a
give
perfect
her
world that
credit.
doesn't
I mean,
happen. But like, if you're gonna leave, if they're gonna choose to leave Madison Connor or Roberson open,
right, leave Rovers.
They're gonna
Right.
choose her
Yes,
every time. So
that's fair. That's
that's
fair.
the
That's
problem
fair.
with TCU is they have 3 pro players, and so you have to just pick your poison in the half court. The way we win this game is you don't let them get to the half court.
Right.
We have to. We talked about needing an offensive identity earlier, and that's where we're still working and trying to figure it out. I think we found our defensive identity. I think players that maybe even don't like defense on this team have accepted their fate, and they understand what they have to do to play defense for Texas Tech. And they have to be active, and they have to be all out, and they have to be just absolutely annoying for us to be on the floor to play for Texas Tech in our defensive scheme. And I feel like that's why you started to see us hold people. We've held a lot of people in the Big 12 to under their averages. We held TCU the first time we played them to well under their average. We just could not convert off the turnovers that we were forcing in that game. So we need to force the same, or if not more, turnovers, and then we need to convert at a higher rate. I think we're a better offensive team than we were back then. We've made some strides in that area. If we run in transition like we did last night, but we win by, Roberson, if she goes off, it happens. They have some X factor players that's someone new every night. It just kind of is what it is for them. But K-State absolutely mauled them in the press. Now, K-State had 10,000 people in that arena. It was on the road. We're going to have to play in their arena. Sometimes we have more Texas Tech fans there than them, but we'll see if that happens or not. But we should have some fans. But it won't be as raucous of a crowd and an environment. They won't be as distracted. But yeah, that's my opinion. I get what you're saying. I hope we got to figure out maybe not to let her off. But if you're telling me, am I going to leave her open or Madison Connor? I can live with it being her.
Chances.
And you just don't want to let them get into the half court too often. Like, you want to hound them and get turnovers and get more possessions for you, because they're probably going to hit some threes here or there. There's going to be possessions where we just have no chance because Sedona Prince is Sedona Prince if they get it too deep. Like, these things are going to happen. You just accept your fate a little bit in that stance. You fight like hell and do what you can. If there's a world in which we beat TCU, it's a world in which we force like 18 plus turnovers, and then we convert like at least 15 points, if not 20, if not 15. We convert like 25 points off those 18 turnovers, if not more. Like, that's the world that we win, is 18 plus turnovers and 25 to 30 points off those turnovers, and then we scrap out another 30 in our half court. Personally, that's where I'm at. But it's not going to be easy, but we played them competitively. An area they struggle, once again, is an area that we excel in, similar to Utah in both ways. Like, they struggle with turnovers. We took advantage against Utah. TCU at times struggles with turnovers, especially Madison Connor. And sometimes Haley Van Lith, she's better at it, but you can get after them. They shoot threes. We're a good 3-point defensive team, just like Utah. Same kind of matchup, just they have a 6-7 post.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, last time Prince was a huge problem, but I think the other thing too is on the offensive end, like, I feel like we would have kept that game close if Bailey wasn't the only one that scored in double digits that night. She had like 22, she popped off. So we need both her and Jazzy like stepping up,
Danae's
dropping double figures.
Sarah's gonna have to.
Yes.
Everybody's gonna have to.
Everybody, all hands on deck.
It cannot be Bailey Maupin taking 25 shots. I love Bailey. She tried to carry us that game because for whatever reason, but it's just not, unless she's making all 25. Like, it's gonna be tough, right? So hopefully she has a good night, but everybody else has to be locked in too. So it's tough, but this team has proven they can play with people. It's just like, can they get over the hump? I mean, it would be a hell of a game to get over the hump against a top 10 team on the road.
Right.
You get over your road woes and that all at the same time. So we have a question over on Facebook, and I think I'm going to let Tyler handle this. Maybe I can come up with something, but I feel like you're a better motivational speaker than I am. But
okay.
Debbie Anson over in the Facebook group says, I need a motivational speech seeing Scarlett. Why tell me why I should still believe, or why this team should still believe. So I'm going to let you, I can go first if you need a minute, and I can just say something, but I feel like you're the better, you're a much more motivational speaker than I.
All right. We got we got 6 games left, and if we're looking at the schedule realistically, you can end the schedule on a 4-game win streak, and then that'll put you at
Okay.
7, and 7 wins. It'd be the most Coach
History.
Gerlich has ever gotten in conference play. So it would be
It's not
history
just the
for
most
Coach
Gerlich's
Gerlich's
gotten.
thing.
We haven't had 7 wins in a decade.
Oh, okay,
It's
yeah.
been that
So in a
bad,
decade,
Tyler.
yes. The times have been rough, but we're gonna come out of that. So no, for sure. Like guys, we have our opportunities. I will say, if you get one off of Baylor or TCU, I think that would be amazing. And you know what? Y'all DFW Red Raiders, y'all show out, red out the Scholamer Lizard Arena, whatever it's called, and y'all get there and y'all let us beat TCU. And then Baylor, y'all be there too. Pink out. I'll do a whole marketing pitch for y'all next week, and we're gonna beat Baylor. And then we're gonna go on this 4-game run, and then boom, we have now 8 conference wins or something like that, or 9 conference wins, and then we have our NCAA tourney hopes. And if not, we can make a deep run in the WBIT and win the WBIT championship. Confetti falling everywhere. Aaliyah Chavez commits maybe, so everything will be amazing. So there you go. There's your motivational speech.
There you go, Debbie.
Add on to
Hope
that.
you're still here. I don't know when you sent that message in the Facebook group, but I just saw it. So yeah, yeah. I don't have anything. I don't know. Literally, my motivational speeches are not that motivational because literally what I would say is don't be about the bullshit, just be about the basketball. If this team is
I
not
like
about
that
the
too.
bullshit and they're about the basketball and they just go out there and they just keep getting better and they're not listening to people that are giving them outs and they're not listening to people that are saying the season's over and they're not listening to people saying it's not your fault, it's X, Y, and Z's fault, and that goes for the players and the staff. Like, if they're not about the bullshit and they're about the basketball, I think last year's team was a little bit about the bullshit. So I'm hoping with some new additions this year, some people being older, they cannot be about the bullshit, because I thought last night I was proud to say maybe they weren't about the bullshit, they were about the basketball. If they can keep that going, get in the gym and keep working. Like, it's 24 hours later, we're all talking about last night's game. The competitors on this team that are wired in the way that you want them to be have moved on, hopefully, by now. They're like, that sucked, I was really frustrated about X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, but at this point they should be fully moved on from it, and they should be like getting shots up, working on their things. So yeah, Tyler's is a lot better, Debbie. A lot more articulate, but mine is literally like, just please don't be about the bullshit. Be about the basketball. Don't be fake about it. Be tough. Just keep being you. Keep getting better, and there's no reason to waste. You got 6 games of basketball. It's a great sport. It can be over tomorrow. Your whole life can change tomorrow. I'm not gonna get sappy, but I've been there. It can all be over. You get to play basketball tomorrow, 2 days from now, whenever it is. And they get to do that, so yeah.
Right.
Don't be about the bullshit. Go win some basketball games. We'll see. Roger's
For
not a big
sure.
believer in here, but that said, let's shock the world. Let's shock the world. That's Roger Hardy. That's about the most motivational speech you're gonna get out of Roger. That guy, we love Roger.
We love Roger.
Calls it like it is, even killed. The man just says what he feels, and that's true. We are 19-point underdogs on the road against TCU. And they are going to be highly motivated, but just maybe, I'm just saying.
Maybe.
I've seen crazier things. We almost beat a better Texas, who I think is better, a worse matchup for us last year than even TCU is this year, and we somehow almost shocked the world in that game on the road about the same time of year. I don't know. So
Gerlich needs her signature win. I'm waiting. Every year she's beating the top 25.
Or first team every year, right?
I think she has.
She probably has a couple more chances on the next couple. I'll be on a boat during the Baylor game, but don't you worry. When we beat Baylor, I'll find a cell phone and talk some shit on Twitter. But I'll hopefully be able to watch on Saturday. There's a lot of sports happening, but if we're upsetting TCU, I'll be there. Talking all the shit. So let's do it. Beat the Lizards. Go team. All right.
And then
anything else? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and if we want, motivational and, teams that are playing amazing right now and their ceiling is the sky and space, men's basketball.
Ceiling is the roof.
It's doing amazing right now. Men's basketball, they are on a 7-game win streak right now, and they came off of a huge win against number 6 Houston in overtime.
It's one of the coolest regular season Texas Tech wins in any sport in my memory. No exaggeration.
Yes. No, and I just want to say the officials, JT Toppin, whoa, JT Toppin was definitely passing the ball. It was unintentional. It was not a flagrant two call. I'm about tired of these refs. Shelby already went on the refs about
Yeah.
last night. I'm
Yeah.
going on the refs for this Houston game. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm glad Kirby Hocutt issued a statement about it because
Sure.
that's absolutely ridiculous. They tried to sell the game, but guess what? We were better than Houston without our best our scorer, our
These
best
are the
scorer,
facts.
and without Coach Grant McCaslin. And
Facts.
shout out to assistant coach Jeff Linder because he went out there and he just took over and led us to an overtime victory. Chance McMillan had 23 points and 5 rebounds. Elijah Hawkins followed with 17 points and 6 rebounds. D5 hit the game tying three to send the game into overtime. My living room went
As the
crazy.
broadcasters are like, you don't need a three. You don't need a three. He pulls up. And they're like,
Exactly.
no, yes.
Darian finished with 13 points. And then Kerwin Walton had 4 3-pointers and 14 points.
Sneaking up
Four
on
three
us.
pointers. The doctor is in, right? That's what they call him, right? Yeah. Kerwin Walton, right?
And,
Yeah,
and
I think so.
Roger, yes, we were missing Kevin Overton in that game. So we were down our best starter and our best off the bench player as well. Well, Christian Anderson up there, but Kevin's an important player on this team as well. So yeah, it was impressive. It's one of those things we'll never know. If
Right.
that had not happened, was that such an emotional spark that it gave us? Because listen, y'all know mental is to physical as 4 is to 1. Yeah, I could sports psychology your way through this so much, and this team is really good mentally, and they really rallied around that moment, and then they even more so on the mental side. I heard this story. I heard Grant McCaslin tell this on an interview he was on this week. He's done a bunch of interviews, so I don't remember which, but he said after that game, the day after that game, they got home. Chance McMillan, great leader on this team, had the idea, and it was just a recovery day, so they didn't have any like actual real practice. And so instead of like doing any on the court stuff, they walked outside of the USA and they kind of walked around and they just kind of sat together for an hour outside, and they went around in a circle and they all talked about like their favorite thing from that win at Houston, because like they recognized like that was an amazing moment. What we did there was special. And so like they didn't ignore it and just try to pretend like it was another game, but they also wanted to acknowledge it and then move on from it because they had to get ready for a Baylor team at home on Saturday that's really good as well. And so I just thought that was so cool. Like from someone that again has a sports psychology degree and a background, like that is so cool. And then to hear that a player was the one that led that, and they just went outside, sat together, and they talked for an hour, and they all went around the circle and shared like their favorite moment from that win and what it meant. And then then we said, okay, we're done for the day. Optional lift at 4, whatever it was. See you there. Optional lift. Everybody that's ever played sports knows what that means. Obviously, they all showed up, and they had a great lift, and that was kind of the day. Those are stories I love, and that's what I love about sports. That's what we do see in Scarlet. That's why we like to do interviews and stuff, is because you learn stuff like that. And I thought that was a really cool story. And if you hadn't heard that, that's kind of what makes this team. They're really talented, but they figured out that togetherness piece, and they figured out that trust piece, and that mental piece to go along with their talent for sure.
Yes, huge win, huge game, and I've noticed that like this team all season has been really tight, and ever since that UCF loss where everyone was freaking out, like it just put a spark in this team, and since then they look like they're gonna be a Final Four team. I mean, I'm just gonna say it, bookmark it, whatever
Yeah,
it
I
is.
mean,
Like
it's early,
they look like it's
but they're
early,
playing
it's
well.
early,
They're
but they're
playing
playing
well.
really well. Yes,
I wish
and
March Madness started next week. Like, you just
yes.
don't want to be peaking right now, so they got to keep it going. But yeah.
For sure. And then they also had a huge win. So they returned home and the place was popping. Everyone was out there in their red. Great atmosphere. They beat Baylor 73-59. Chance had 5 3-pointers. And the highlight was he had 3 back-to-back 3-pointers. And he had one on the right side, one on the top of the key, and then or on the top of the arc, and then one on the left-hand side, all in 3 straight possessions. And I mean, I thought that the bleachers are going to break and they're made out of concrete. Everyone was going insane. So Chance, he had himself a game. He also had 19 points overall. D5, he had 17 points and 8 rebounds. Hawkins had 13 points and he made 3 3-pointers in that game with 7 assists. And then JT returned back on the floor and he had 8 points and 8 rebounds as well. So Baylor game, I think it was a solid game. Baylor tried to creep back in there, but overall we
That's what Baylor
maintained our
does.
lead. Yeah, we maintained our lead toward the end. So it's a great win to have, especially when you're going into a tough environment on Saturday at Arizona.
If they win that, I mean, I might buy some Final Four tickets, because that would be. Houston was a massively impressive win. It was really impressive because of the circumstances, but the environment they're going to play in Arizona is the hardest one they've been in by far this year, right? Because they didn't have to go to Iowa State. They got Iowa State at home. That'd be probably the closest one, I think, in the Big 12, because we have such a good atmosphere. Houston has a decent atmosphere, but it's so tiny. Only like 7,000 people fit in there, and there was a bunch of Texas Tech fans. There's going to be maybe 100 Texas Tech fans that sneak their way in there in Arizona. That is a basketball hit, they love basketball. It's a big arena just like us. It's not one of these small ones that people are going to. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a time. It's going to be late. If you go into Arizona and you beat Arizona on the road, and that crowd with Arizona playing the way they are right now, with just a week ago at this time they hit that crazy shot.
Caleb Love.
They have a lot of belief about them now, and I think they've only lost one game in Big 12 play, right? And that was to us at home. So we really need this as far as standings go. Hopefully everybody's healthy as they can be. But yeah, I assume we're the underdog on the road, probably by...
We are. I think ESPN said we have a 38% chance to win on the FPI thing.
They
so
gave us like an
it went up.
8% chance against Houston. So let's go.
Odds mean nothing with this team. I mean, honestly, nothing. Like after that Houston game, sky is the limit.
They got the mentals, but yeah, it's gonna be hard to win that game. I'm telling you right now, if they beat Arizona on the road, whew, that's impressive. So we'll see. I'm gonna try to watch. I'm gonna be honest. It's late. It starts at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, and I'm gonna have been just gotten done doing the Nebraska Texas Tech game, and they have 2 games that year, games with softball, and that's a lot of sports to be watching, and of course we're going to cover that. And then the Lady Raiders are playing TCU. I swear to God, if we beat Nebraska and then the Lady Raiders upset TCU all at the same time frame, my emotions are going to be so fried. I don't know if I'll make it to 11:30. I'll just lose. We're going to be doing like a live space or something on Twitter, freaking out, and then it'll be like 5 hours later the men's game will finally start. I'm going to have to take a nap.
Yeah, for sure.
So prepared. I'm old. No, I'm like a night owl by nature, but 11:30 p.m. start is late. So but it's gonna be hype when we win that game at 3 a.m. I'm gonna be slow walking into church on Sunday, but I'm gonna be doing it happy. So that's all that matters.
Yes, and then after Arizona on the road Saturday, they'll return home against Arizona State on Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. So y'all be there for that. It'll be on CBS Sports Network. So, yeah, men's basketball, they're having themselves one heck of a season.
They are. Keep it going. I just don't want them to peak right now. Remember how high we were? I think this team is a lot better. But remember Mark Adams' first year? We were living high right now because we had just beaten, February 6th might have been the date. It was like around the same time we had just beaten Chris Beard in his return to Lubbock, and we were feeling ourselves. And not that we had a bad end of the season. We didn't. We ended up making the Sweet 16, but we never really reached what we felt like in that moment. Holy shit, how good could we be? And so that's where I am with this team, is like, just don't want them to be peaking right now. But it's a lot of fun, so I'm going to enjoy the roller coaster. It's not even if it's a roller coaster, we're like on the part, so I hope we don't experience the dip, but we'll see. That's basketball. Who else do they have? The women's basketball team, by the way, has a bye next week, so that's why we only talked about one game. Who else? Do they have another game?
No, they have a bye
Arizona
week.
State.
And
they play Arizona State.
The men. Yes, Arizona State.
Yeah, so they got the Arizona schools. That one's back at home next Wednesday at 8. So y'all can be there for that. And then let's wrap it up with track. As always, Tyler, great notes. I'm going to let you take your shine. Let people know what happened out there on the track.
Yes, so individually and team track is all doing really great. They're on the rise. Our girl, Shelby Frank, she had another great weekend. Each weekend, she keeps getting better. I'm a huge Shelby Frank fan. Like, I don't even know her, but I've seen one date.
Do you have an NIL jersey? I'll buy it. I'll
yes,
rock it on the show.
for
Send me
sure.
your NIL merch.
Yes. Send it to me and I will buy it because Shelby, like insane. She won the weight throw competition by 9 feet with a mark of 75 feet and 2 inches. That is the number 2 mark in the NCAA. And indoor weight throw, I mean, like it can only go so far before it starts hitting the wall. Like I've been inside the track arena thing, so she can sling that thing really far. She now owns the number 1 through the number 4 mark in the tech record book. And in the process, that mark also went down as the new facility record. So everyone that was there this past weekend got to see her throw the farthest that the weight has ever been. So very impressive by Shelby Frank. She's the Minnesota transfer. Nothing but great things. She's adding a lot of points, especially, like I said, in indoor and outdoor track. The women's team, I think, is maintaining their number 3 ranking right now. And how they're going to win is a lot of it is from field events. So I'm really glad that we picked her up. Next is Zaid Latif. He opened his 2025 season winning the men's long jump with a leap of 25 feet and 3.5 inches. That is the 12th mark in the country. And then we told you All-American Alyssa Colbert, she made her 2025 debut. She finished 3rd in the 60-meter final. But guys, she didn't just like finish 3rd, like thousandths
like
of a second.
A fingernail. If she had longer nails on, she could have won.
Yes, literally. She was so close. Like, I mean, the breakdown was insane. So yeah, thousandths of a second, but it's okay. She's gonna come back next meet and it's gonna go crazy, right? And then Fanny Arendt, she broke the school 800-meter record, lowering her time from last week to 2 minutes and 4 seconds. In the process, she became the first female runner in school history to go sub 2 minutes and 5 seconds. So congrats to Fanny. That's very impressive to run 2 laps, or no, it's 200 meters each track. So I think that's 4 laps around a track in indoor. So very impressive to do that all under 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And then NCAA cross country championship participant Ernest Churio, he opened his 2025 season running a 7 minute and 58 mile. It goes down as the number 5 all time for Texas Tech. And then the track team will go on to compete in the New Mexico Collegiate Classic Friday and Saturday.
I wonder, I would assume is that at the University of New Mexico?
Yes, it is.
The national champion in, was it the 5,000 meters or one of the long distance things that Ernest was in, and that was that race that went viral because there was that pile up basically. Ernest lost his shoe and he finished the final.
Yes.
He ran the final lap and still got 3rd or something at nationals without a shoe, and it was this big deal. The guy that actually won that got caught up in that melee. He fell over, so he didn't lose a shoe. So he was running with 2 shoes, but he won the national championship after falling over in that melee. Last year he ran for New Mexico. Or New Mexico State, one of the New Mexico schools. Because I was like, why don't you come over to Texas Tech? I forget his name, but he's still there, I think. So I would assume he's going to be in that meet.
Okay.
They can have a rematch,
okay. It's going to be a great matchup.
Shoes. Well, although I don't know in indoor if it's different because but that was an outdoor event. But he still runs, obviously. So we'll see if that guy runs indoor too.
Sure.
It's a lot of laps in indoor.
It is. It's a lot. I was getting dizzy.
Get dizzy, yeah. So I don't know. I'm assuming they don't run quite as far, but yeah. So there's your story on that.
Yes.
And then women's tennis, they went up to Oregon and played 2 matches. They beat Oregon in a 4-3-1. They got up 4-0 in that, and then Oregon just clawed their way back. But our gal, I think it was Maria. Maybe it came down to Maria. Took care of business in her match. Went to 3 sets, and she got us the dub. Then they took care of Portland. Right after that was a doubleheader. 4-0, easy stuff there for them. Come back 5-1. They're ranked now. I don't know if the rankings came out. I'm sure if they moved it all. Last week they were like in the 20s. So, but individual rankings came out. Avi, and Maria are ranked number 6 in doubles. Not surprising. They were like a 3 seed or something in the the tournament just for doubles earlier in the year in fall. So they're really good at that. And then also, I don't see it here, but we had a couple of players get ranked individually as well. I think the rankings in tennis go to the top 100. So they're
yes.
And they made the top 100 on the individual level, which is big. So starting to eke in there, the doubles is kind of what is carrying this team, whatever. But their singles are really good as well. So it's been fun to watch. I'm ready to keep seeing them going. And then on the men's side, been a tough start to the year for them, but we'll see how they bounce back. They swept UT-RGV, and then they lost to New Mexico State in a couple of matches at home last week. They go to Wichita State on Friday, looking to kind of find some consistency there as a theme across Texas Tech sports. So we'll see if they can bounce back. I'll let you do golf. Go for it.
Yes. So women's golf kicked off on this past Monday and Tuesday. They finished seventh at the FAU Invitational. I may butcher this, but Maja Ambrosiak. Don't know if I said that right. Ambrosiak
Just let us know.
placed.
I bet they have the.
Yeah.
We'll look it up. They might have the pronunciation on
Yes.
the website before next week.
She placed 10th though at the Invitational, so very impressive. And Clara Hertova placed 15th. So they were the ones that really pushed them to get the seventh place finish. And then men's golf, starting today through Saturday, they're in paradise right now in Hawaii. Well, probably not in paradise. They're probably stressed right now, but they're competing in the Emerari Intercollegiate Invitational in Hawaii right now. So we will report the results
What
next
time
week.
is it in Hawaii right now? Are they on another?
Oh, I think
might
they're
actually be
like
competing
6
right
hours
now.
back. Yeah, they probably
They
are,
might
honestly.
actually yeah, they posted that video of them eating shaved ice, so they're enjoying the moment. I always love when teams find a way to let their athletes travel. The Lady Raiders do a good job of that. It's about life experience, so it's cool to see our other smaller programs too that don't maybe have as big of budgets, that the athletic department's still willing to let them take some of those trips every once in a while to get that experience. So that's cool. Good for them. And that's what we got, y'all. That's what we got. I think the only home basketball game you have this week is next, or before you hear from us again, maybe. I don't know when we're going to record next week. We'll see. But next week, be there at home for the men's basketball team. On Wednesday, softball. Lots of softball to watch this weekend, including a top 25 showdown between what a lot of people consider the top two pitchers in the country in Nyjah Kennedy, Texas Tech, and Jordy Ball with Nebraska. Both of them are two-way players this year. Both of them transferred from major softball schools to schools that are not historically known for softball. And both of them are now hitting and pitching. They're very similar storylines. It's really cool what they're both doing. Jordy Ball, if you're unaware, came from OU, where she won back-to-back national titles and was the National Player of the Year the year before. Nyjah took over, and then Nyjah took it because Jordy Ball was out injured last year. So if you have not seen Jordy Ball, you've forgotten about her, don't. She's coming for that title. She thinks she's the best pitcher, and she has reason to think that, right? Because she was the year before, but she was injured last year. And so they get to go at it. I assume. There's a chance they don't, but it's on MLB Network, so I would assume that they didn't agree to that game if both teams weren't going to throw their ace, but we'll see. So I'm excited for that one. That's on MLB Network if you have that. If not, I think it'll still be on the Game Changer thing, but that's just a really you got to find got to find the MLB Network feed, because that's too good of a game to watch it on, whatever that was. So there you go. That's my final pitch. But
and also,
thoughts?
before y'all forget, remember that Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech legend, will be competing in the Super Bowl on Sunday against the Eagles. Right. Let's go, Chiefs. I know a lot of y'all. There's a lot of Tech, believe it or not.
So excited.
Yes.
And
Nyjah Kennedy too. She might call up Mahomes. She might be like, "Hey, congrats." And he'll be like, "Congrats."
Sam, Nyjah, they're all texting their buddy good luck this weekend, Mahomes. Yeah, Texas Tech has a chance to be a three-peat Super Bowl winner. That's what I'm going to say.
Yes, exactly. A lot of people be hating, even Tech students. I'm like, guys, this is so cool. There's a quarterback when Texas Tech went through. Exactly, you can't hate greatness.
I didn't even like when people hated on Tom Brady. You got to learn to appreciate greatness when it's happening, and there's greatness happening. I think it's going to be a tough game between the Eagles, but I'm rooting for our guy. After we watch softball, we got a softball primer at 1 p.m. Texas Tech versus Kennesaw State. That's a big one. And then you have the Super Bowl right after that. So let's do that. Thanks for hanging out. We may have some more lives coming. We may start changing the schedule of when we're doing things, because there's a lot of sports happening. But we'll be back at some point next week. Go team. Watch all the softball. Until then, we'll see you. We'll see you when we see you. So.